Hey, Daves, what can you say just about your offensive line yesterday? I mean, we've seen it before where guys have came in and out of this game due to injuries, but what can you say just about the way that they didn't get flustered by it at all and they just kept moving and were able to still put points on the scoreboard no matter who was a part of that five on the field?
Yeah, I was proud of them. It's a hard-working unit. I'd say a bunch of smart guys that are tough guys, and Bobby and Hef and Wendy sure did a good job with them, and all the extra time. There's position flexibility is important for that spot. Obviously, glad we had it yesterday. Just a bunch of good guys that work hard, and happy for those guys.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, Coach, John Scott here.
Hey, John.
We heard about the passing of Josh's grandmother and understand you were part of the initial conversations with him when he got the news. Just can you put into words the way you viewed his performance yesterday, understanding what he was going through in a 24-hour period?
That's a good question. I just felt for him. I have a grandmother that's very special to me, and something like that happens. We all go through adversity, but to have it happen the day before, a big game for him and for us. I can't imagine how tough that was. Just have so much respect for him as a person, as a player. I love him. Just be there for him. But he did a really good job of staying focused. And there wasn't really many people that knew about it. That's just kind of the guy he is. He's the ultimate teammate, ultimate competitor. And when he came in off the field in the locker room, he just kind of fell into my arms a little bit, and a lot of emotion there. I'd say, particularly for him, but for me also. When you love somebody and something happens like that, it's tough. And then to see it happen, to someone that you really care about as a player, that's tough. But that's why his teammates love him too. He's all day competitive, all day tough, and he'll do anything for them.
And then just for you, understanding the relationship, I mean, what does it mean to you that he would confide something so personal in you, knowing he could have gone out there and played with all of that just kept inside? What does that mean to you in regards to your relationship that maybe clearly goes beyond just player coach?
A lot. I just care about him so much as a person, more than a football player. We've been through a lot together in these last 3 years. It means a lot to me.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Hey, Brian, I think I'm up next. It's Kim from NFL Network.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
I love that answer. And I guess I would change what I was going to ask you to ask about Josh. What is it about him that his entire team seems to gravitate to him? My conversations with him that haven't been this year, of course, but in previous seasons, I just always found him to be so forthright and honest and very self-aware. And I'm just wondering, I guess my question would be, what are the qualities he has that are so important for a quarterback to have when he relates to teammates?
I think what you said is right on, but he's real. He doesn't try to pretend to be something that he's not. He has a way of connecting to people from really all over, and he lays it on the line. He's a good listener. He's demanding of himself, puts in a lot of work. He knows, like we all know, for all of us, we're far from a finished product. And, this dude's Buffalo, got a chip on his shoulder. And, we just take it one day at a time, Kim, and one practice at a time. That's his mantra. That's all of our mantras. We got a long way to go here, but, he's a player, albeit 3 years in the league, that he really cares about his teammates. Smart, tough, dependable. Fortunate to get to work with him.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Brian, I wanted to ask you
Thanks,
from a
Dan.
play calling standpoint. I know that you've probably been on teams and in situations when the other side is trying to tee off on you and come up with a game-changing play. Maybe you're a little more nervous than you certainly have seemed to be this year. Can you somehow describe for somebody who's never had to call a play in those situations before what the difference is in your approach when you feel nervous about it versus when you're excited about it? Because it seems as though when teams start coming after you, there's a calm or something that you're hitting the marks, and as a team.
Yeah, I think that's where, Tim, your preparation comes into play. You don't really have time to be, I would never use the word nervous calling a play. If you prepare the right way and you practice the right way, you have confidence in what you're doing leading up to the game, and you trust your process of how you go about it, from the installation standpoint to a walkthrough standpoint to a practice standpoint, whether that be an individual route period, a 7-on-7 period, a group period, a team period. You put a lot of work and effort into, we all do, coaches and players, to work together to try to put the best product on the field that we can. Certainly they don't all work. You love them to work, but when you call them, you're confident. You're confident in your preparation, and I'd say most importantly, you're confident in your players that they're going to go out there and do it. So there's never really a time where you're nervous to call a play. I'm never nervous to call a play with the guys that we have, because I see the work they put into it and the preparation, and you expect it to be successful. And when it's not, there's you have to figure out the reasons why it's not. Was it a bad call in a certain situation, or do we got to fix a certain technique of somebody? And that's really what we do. You don't really think about that during the game. That's what you do after the games. The next day when you're evaluating the film, win or lose, is okay, we thought this was going to be a really good, successful play. We dialed it up. We practiced it all week. All right, it worked. Great. All right, now let's take a look at the next one. It didn't quite work. Why didn't it work? I made a bad call at a bad time, or, hey, we thought it was going to be played out like this. And that's the continual evolvement of a team throughout the year, is kind of figuring out what you do well, and then how do you adjust it to make it even better.
Yeah, I guess probably nervous was not the smartest word for me to use, because that's maybe a little more loaded than what I was after. But I think where I'm getting at is, let's even go back to last season, the Renegade play in Pittsburgh. When you get a sense, or like when Seattle was playing yesterday, they had to get aggressive, and other teams have done it. There seems to be there's a percentage you seem to be hitting on, and it seems to be that you enjoy those situations. And it's from having covered the league for so long, I think there are a lot of play callers who don't necessarily enjoy those situations, but you seem to thrive on it. And you have you and your guys. I'm not speaking you specifically, but you and your guys.
Yeah. When you have good players that can go out there and execute and perform under pressure, and it's not all the time, but when you have confidence in your players, which you should have confidence in them. They work their tails off. You see them every day. Look, there's a million situations that come up in a game. Could be in the first drive, like the third play of the game with a guy like Isaiah McKenzie, or it could be later in the second half when you have to make a play. You have to have confidence in the people that you work with. It's not just the players, Tim. I would say the assistant coaches too, that I have an opportunity to work with. When you work with good people and you try to do things the right way, and you trust your process, you trust your preparation, you're prepared. You go ahead and make the call, and let's let it rip.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Hey, Brian, Adam Benini, WGRZ. Good to
Hey,
see you.
Adam.
Congratulations on the win.
Thanks.
You look at the way you guys ran the ball against New England, right, last week, and then you go to the air. I believe it's 38 times each, and as it happens in each of those games. I guess it's from a fan perspective, I asked this question. Take me inside maybe the decision-making process, the design of that game plan, and then how well it was executed yesterday. What did you see? What did you draw up? And then your take on how it was executed for that success.
Sure. Well, it's a good question. Look, and I've said this plenty of times to you guys as we got an opportunity to talk. I just really believe that each week is its own unique week, and how you need to try to attack an opponent varies from game to game. Different ball clubs have different strengths with different players. And, one week it was, like you said, the running game for New England. This week it was a little bit more of the pass game. This is a collective group effort between myself and the coaches that work really hard to prepare. And then ultimately it falls down to the players, which, credit the players. They're the ones out there doing it and executing the plays. Sometimes, it might not be a great play versus a particular look, but, at the end of the day, they're out there and doing it and they make it work. So all the credit goes to the players of executing the things. But, you sit down on Monday, like we're starting to do right now, and, getting prepared for a team that we don't know very well. And that takes, quite a bit of your Monday all the way through Monday evening and later into Monday night. And you're doing the same thing on Tuesday, and you're working together as a group collectively as a coaching staff, and you're bouncing off ideas, and you're constantly adjusting as you go throughout the week. And I just really believe that your preparation is really not done until, it goes all the way through the game. I'll give you an example. The night before the game, I just was watching some more tape and talking with some guys, and we put in a couple plays that we didn't practice that I thought would, be good, that maybe we just didn't quite see during a week. Might have called them 6 times. Nothing crazy, but we have, smart players that can operate and execute things. They know our system. Most importantly, Josh knows it and what we're looking for. That goes all the way up to game time, and there might be things within the first couple series that we're adjusting. You're really evaluating what they're doing, and you're constantly adjusting what you need to adjust.
A lot of times it's take what the defense gives you, right? But what about yesterday's game? Did you know that going to the air was going to be the way to go?
Yeah, I was hoping for 31 or however many passes the first half and no runs, but we had to stick a couple in there. That was the as we sat down and we looked at it, that was something we were going to try to do that game. And again, it's fine, but the players executed it. If it wasn't executed, now what do you got to get to? Let's go back to the New England game too. It's the same thing. Like, credit the offensive line for moving the line of scrimmage and the backs running. It's easy to call plays when your players are executing well. And they've done that.
All right, Brian, thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Hey, Brian, John Worrell, can you hear me?
Hey, John. Yes.
Hey, yay. This week it worked. Looking at going back to Josh and knowing that him and you knowing how pass-oriented the attack of the game plan was going to be, and knowing that he was hurting, grieving, how much do you think, I'm not exactly sure how to ask this question, but his selfless focus to the game plan, as McDermott has talked about, compartmentalizing the grief for those 3 hours, to put that game plan in place. How selfless was that? And do you think that maybe knowing that he was going to have to be throwing the ball, maybe focused his attention more towards the game plan and away from the grief that he was feeling?
No, he's just the type of guy that's always focused, highly competitive, and that'd be a good question to ask him. I know it's kind of private to him, as I'm sure it would be to everybody, but he's a really focused individual because he's so competitive. And it happened later in the week, so that'd be a good question for him. I know he was ready to go. He was ready to go the night before. And, like I said, there's not many people that really knew, and there wasn't many people that knew after it. I mean, he knows what he has to do each week, John. And not much else I can really give you on that one. I think that'd be a good question for him.
That's fair. Just as a follow-up, you
Sure.
being from Western New York,
Yeah.
and to see what the community is doing in raising, I think it was $40,000 now. It's gone to OSHI. I mean, what do you make of just what this community has done in supporting, a quarterback who's in grief?
It's not surprising. I know this place. And I know a lot of people from a lot of different towns from around here. And it's just Buffalo. It's Buffalo, man. There's people take care of people. People take care of their own people. And people have each other's back. And certainly they got Josh's back. Just like I know he and I talk a lot about being from around here and the type of people that are around here, the type of communities. And, I know he's from out there in California. You just pick him up and put him right here and, put him in West Seneca, South Buffalo, or North Towns, or wherever you want to be, he'll fit right in. That's him. He's just a genuine person. And I know he appreciates a great deal the support that he gets from this community, this fan base, Bills Mafia. I know he's very thankful for that. And we're thankful for him.
He'd fit in South Buffalo?
Absolutely.
Very good. Thanks.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, Matt.
You mentioned Josh's toughness, and I'm curious now that we're a little more removed from it, how much was that left shoulder, causing him some issues there for a little while? It's, it's been on the injury report, I know, but it's not his throwing shoulder, but, he's had it wrapped up, and that can impact mechanics and things like that.
Yeah, again, I think that'd be a good question for him. I just say he's a tough guy.
And another thing I wanted to ask you about the use of play action. You guys have been one of the most productive offenses when using play action, but it was probably a little bit more heavily used at the beginning of the year. Maybe teams have adjusted some. What makes it? What do teams do to make it tough to go play action once they realize how good you are at it?
Well, I think it's all kind of tied together, Matt, with what kind of play action you use, and then the routes that you're trying to attack. We used it a fair amount yesterday. Some from under, some from shotgun. Again, different teams. It affects them different ways. It depends on how aggressive some of their second level players are, or maybe their third level, and how you're trying to attack it, whether it's a levels route or a quick pop pass or whatever it may be. Certainly it's a part of the game that I'd say most teams try to look at every week and see where it gives you an advantage. And some are, some days are better than others. And then it's also, part of the game and how the game is going. To throw a bunch of play actions on, 2nd and 18s, if you're getting behind the sticks or you're getting behind on the scoreboard, sometimes that's a little bit less effective than just, throwing it when you need to throw it. So it's obviously a good part of the game plan each week. Weather, score, how the team reacts to it. I think those are all things that we look at each week.
How much have you followed how, like you mentioned, it's become a big part of the game, even more so than it used to be? And how much have you followed just the trend of how prevalent it's become across the NFL, more and more teams using it to great success?
Yeah, I think it's a good off-season study. We're always trying to improve. Starts with me, and I know the coaches are always trying to find unique, whether it's plays or schemes or trends in the NFL. And we certainly look at that in the off season. And, during the week, you're really so focused on the team you're playing and how they're affected, whether it be that or, inside run, outside run, screens. Technology these days with cut-ups and things like that is pretty amazing.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Coach Daboll, good afternoon. Mookie Hawkins, Ruffalo Sports 1080. How you doing today, sir?
Good, Mook. How are you?
I'm great. Everybody knows like the bond between the quarterback and the offensive coordinator is a bond like no other. And, dealing with the emotions, with this magnitude is, sometimes it can be hard to game plan or, make that play call. But yesterday was surgery with a chainsaw yesterday. Josh tapped into that mentality. And, for your perspective, I know, how you feel for Josh and, how bad did you want this game offensively for him yesterday?
Well, yeah, I mean, again, you know how I feel about him, and I always want him to be successful. And I always want to see him do well because, I know it helps our team, and I know that's what he wants. On a personal level, obviously, when you go through something like that, and you see somebody that you love, have dealing with stuff like that, you want them to be successful. You want them to go ahead and have a great game. But I think we had, I had to compartmentalize too. There's only 16 of these games, and each one of them are very critical. So we had to both stay focused on what we needed to do, what the plan was going into the game. Again, this was really the day before, so there's not a lot of things that changed, which was how we wanted to attack them and, the game plan. And, did we make adjustments throughout the game? Yeah, but I think once you're in a scenario like that, a competitive situation, you're so laser focused on, doing your job, trying to do your job the best to help, what's the most important is the players to do the best job. So, just good to, very happy for Josh, but I'm happy for him. Anytime we win, and he's an unbelievable young man.
Absolutely, man. Job well done yesterday, Coach.
Thanks.
Take your time.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, guys.